Hey, welcome back to the Unbiased Room, our first live episode of the season. We're just going to recap last week's games and then talk about some keys to victory for some teams for the week 2 slate. So, Ed, what was one of the games that impressed you last week?
Man, you know it. My Canes, best team in Florida right now. It's been a long time since I can say that, man. I'm telling you, hey, the most complete team. They look great. And not to take anything away from Florida, I think Florida's defense is talented, right? They got speed. There was a couple players that could match to his speed, but Miami dominated them at the offensive line. The wide receivers outplayed their secondary. And Cam Ward, man, he looked good. He looked good enough to even for me, my perspective, he's going to be in the talks of some sort towards the end of the season for Heisman or something like that. Because the guy, besides one where he threw back against, he was running, he threw the other way. Other than that, he looked pretty impressive all day. Miami went into the swamp, and within 7 minutes of the game, had the swamp quiet, man. Shut it down. It's the best performance by a Canes team I've seen in years.
Okay. Well, for me, I would say it was USC beating LSU. To see USC's defense come back, I mean, of course, we all know how they was last year. It was terrible. But to see them actually compete, their defense has changed with the addition of the DC from UCLA. And I did not think that USC would beat LSU. And man, they deserve that game. I think Lincoln Riley called a hell of a game. I think the defense showed up and showed out, and I think for me that was the biggest win, because now that puts USC on a trajectory of like what's going to happen with them in the Big Ten, because they looked a lot better than a lot of people thought. So what happens when they play, Ohio State and some of these other teams now, right? So that's what I was thinking was the biggest thing besides Miami. That Miami was the biggest one, but then for me, the USC game was big too.
Okay.
Yeah, so I agree. Yeah, Miami was the biggest game. But I'm pivot to another Florida team, which is Florida State. They had a chance to bounce back from that terrible showing in Dublin versus Georgia Tech to get an easy victory playing Boston College, who's not known to be a powerhouse football program, and they got walked down. They let Boston College run up and down the field on them. They made Boston College quarterback look like a Heisman Trophy winner, and that's a bad look for Mike Norvell, because we look right last season, right? They got left out of college football playoff. Everybody's all upset. This was their year to come back and say, you know what? That shit don't mean nothing. We're about to come and smack everybody in the face. This should have been like a shut the fuck up type of tour. You know what I'm saying? And it ain't looking that way. And coming into the season, they were supposed to have one of the best defensive lines in college football. And that is not that. I mean, that's far from true, just from what we've seen.
Man, it was hard to watch. And you know what I'm saying? I was yelling at the TV like, what are you doing? The running back from Boston College, I mean, my man was struggling to catch the ball, but he got one and took it to the house on right? He did. And then the DJU sidearming, he skipped one. It looked like he was trying to skip rocks on the lake, man, because he threw a sidearm and bounced to the wide receiver. And a lot of people are tearing him up, you know what I'm saying? But it's not just him. It's the O-line. He's getting too much pressure. Wide receivers, like you said, dropping passes. They just look unprepared.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me with FSU is, Mike Norvell was getting a lot of praise on how he was navigating the transfer portal, and this year it's like it's the reverse. right? Because he was bringing in the good guys like the Jared Verses, the Jordan Travises, all these guys that came in that were making Keon Coleman, all these guys were coming in and making immediate impacts. Now this time it's like the reverse. The DJU is struggling. The guys from Alabama that came in, they're struggling. And it's like, what happened to, his genius of navigating the transfer portal, because they're struggling. And, they still got 3 games coming up that's losable. I mean, Memphis, Cal, and was it SMU? I mean, yeah, I think it was SMU. Yeah, so they still got 3 games that they could lose. They could start the season 0-5, possibly, right?
Yeah.
And I know I've seen some outrage where people calling for his job, but he just signed a big contract this year. I think $84 million. So I just don't see him being fired. He's going to have to figure out how to navigate and turn his team around.
Yeah, I don't think
because they can't afford to pay him that money. That is outrageous.
Yeah.
Hey, by no means, I don't think he's on a hot seat at all. Really, I mean, you was undefeated last year, and Jordan Travis' injury is the only reason you weren't in. Real talk. I think you put Jordan Travis healthy in there, they're in there, and they make some noise in the playoffs. But I think that's excessive to be like, he's gonna be. But hey, Florida State is not gonna sit there and accept this type of performance too long. You know what I'm saying? They were very confused looks. They didn't look put together. They need to get it together, man, because like you said, the next 3 weeks, you can't drop any of those games, because then the tougher part of your schedule is coming up after that. You know what I'm saying? And they got to put it together now and not then.
No, yeah, that's facts. I'm trying to pull up their stuff right now, but
and to go and go to that USC and LSU game, bro. Wasn't USC bottom half defensive statistically last? They were in the hundreds, right?
Oh yeah, they were one of the worst in the country.
That performance against LSU, and I was like, impressive, right? Their quarterback looked like he's 45, but he playing lights out, man. It's like mine, But hey, he looked good out there. Oh man, what was it? Brian Kelly's post-game interview.
Yeah.
It was a facade. It's a facade.
The Academy Award is not going to you, man. You getting paid $11 million a year. What do you mean you didn't have them ready?
Hey, man, listen, if I'm an LSU fan, I need answers, man. This is the 3rd home opener in a row not home opener, but season opener that you done lost. I need answers. I need him to sit down at the table and explain to me what the hell is going on.
And losses with loaded teams. That's the crazy thing about it. LSU can play anybody in the nation in the last 2 years and compete with anybody throughout the U.S., through the FBS. And you have the talent. You're at the school, but you're not making it. You're not cashing it in.
Yeah, I was looking at what you said, Ed. So USC last year was 119th in total defense last year, and then so far this year, I mean, they gave up 421 yards in that game against LSU, but they just looked different. They didn't look, they was pressuring the quarterback. They was tackling. Like, it was just a totally different defense. And that's why I'm curious. I really kind of excited to see what USC is going to do the rest of this season.
Well, the defensive coordinator came over from UCLA. I know you were saying it earlier, but that's Anthony Lynn's son. Remember the head coach used to coach the Chargers?
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's his son. Yeah, his name was Anthony Lynn.
Ah,
I think he the second or something like that. But he go by Deanton or something like that.
yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's Anthony Lynn's
Okay,
son. And he turned that defense around, man. But you got to think UCLA's defense last year was phenomenal. They just couldn't do nothing on the offensive side of the ball. They had
yeah.
like didn't they have like the most sacks last year in college football?
So
UCLA.
UCLA's defense,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I
they're
think they
ranked pretty
did.
high.
Yeah, I don't have to look that one up. But I mean, they look physical. They didn't look. I swear, like last year, it looked like
Yes,
they would go out there and pretend to play defense. No, they was hitting
they
against
was
Yeah,
LSU.
hitting. They was
yeah,
hitting. It wasn't a whole bunch of missed tackles like they were,
yeah,
having last year. Yeah,
yeah,
So, and with them being in the Big Ten, man, it's going to be a good. I'm curious to see how they're going to look against like Notre Dame later on in the season.
mm-hmm.
Michigan weeks. So Penn State. Those are going to be some good games for USC.
Yeah. Yeah. Penn State, speaking of Penn State, I mean, they went into Morgantown and, won that game there. Every year Penn State is there. Like I said, this 12-team playoff is built for Penn State, right? Every year they do well, and the two teams they would lose to would always be either Michigan or Ohio State, right? They could never beat both of them in one season. But I think that they're slated to make the playoffs this year. They looked good against West Virginia, and I think West Virginia still has the opportunity to win the Big 12 this year. So that was a great win for Penn State.
yeah. Penn State. I mean, they returned a lot of production. They got Drew Allar back there slinging the rock around. They got their running backs.
Yep.
They got a good team. The defense was, flying around.
Yeah.
Penn State, I mean, they don't have an easy schedule, right? They got like I said earlier, they got USC, Ohio State, Washington's coming to them. So it's going to be, if they can get past those two games, right? Ohio State, that's been their Achilles heel when they get into the Michigan or Ohio State. If they can get past that, man, this should be their year. You don't play Michigan. And Michigan is not, even if they did, I don't think Michigan is as talented as they were in the past.
Right.
We're going to see Michigan's talent today against Texas.
Yeah.
I think it's
going to be a good game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout like a lot of people are predicting. I think Michigan didn't show their hand against Fresno State last week. I think they may come up with some things schematically, defensively, right, where they may be able to kind of hold Quinn Ewers and that offense kind of slow it down some, because they still got a great cornerback in Will Johnson. They still got a great defensive line in Mason Graham and Grant, right? So they got some pieces there that can give Texas problems. But the flip side is the offense for Michigan. There's no game breakers. The only game breaker you have is Donovan Edwards. And I think that Texas will be able to slow him down and force Alex Ojori or Davis Warren and make them pass the ball. And I don't think they have any playmakers on the outside.
Yeah, Texas is favored -6.5 points. And honestly, I think it's going to – I'm with – it's going to beat them more than a touchdown, right? I think so. Because offensively, Texas has nothing to worry about offensively, right? Their offensive line is not as good. Texas defensive line should be able to put pressure on the quarterback. They don't have a deep threat from what we've seen so far. So you'll be able to play the run. And Texas got some athletes on offense. You know what I'm saying? So I think it might be a close couple first two quarters. But after that, Texas talent's going to pull away. And I think it's going to be more than a touchdown.
Yeah, Ed, I agree. I do think the game will start off close, but I think because of the depth of our team, and our speed, on offense and defense is going to be too much, and it's going to overwhelm Michigan. I know, Ron, you said the cornerback Johnson.
Yeah, Will Johnson.
Will Johnson last week when he was in man coverage, man, he gave up 77 passing yards, and I think 4 receptions he gave up, 4 receptions and 77 passing yards in man coverage, and he was going against a Fresno State receiver. What is he going to do against Isaiah Bond and Jonte Cook and Ryan Wingo? You know what I'm saying? Silas Bolden. I'm not saying that he's a top tier corner, but what he faced last week playing man coverage and what he's going to face today, if they play man coverage, I feel sorry for him.
And that's a good point. But you do have to realize and that they have changed defensive philosophies. You know, the defensive coordinator that they had last year left. This year they got Wink Martindale. So, yes, the defensive philosophy has changed some. I still think he's a top 10 player in college football. And yet, you know, he may have had a bad game last week. True, he is going against elite receivers this week, but he still has that that capability to be able to lock them down if needed. So, but I agree with that.
Talking about Texas, man, get Archie Manning on the field. That dude was entertaining after that play. That's killing. Yeah, I know that's
Archie's a playmaker.
Every once in a while, they get the crowd hyped up with some Arch in there, man.
Yeah, he got in the game, man. The stadium went crazy, man.
Yeah. It was
cool, man. Good to watch. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see what other games this week. Hey, the tonight game was it? Nebraska against Colorado. What do y'all think about that, man?
I think everybody is doubting Colorado, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm not no Colorado fan, but everybody's hype on Dylan Raiola, but he's only played one game. You know what I mean? Yeah. He played one game, which he played well, right? Mm-hmm. They're about to be challenged. Now, Colorado is not great defensively, right? We've seen them struggle. Shit, they could have lost last week to North Dakota State. That Hail Mary, that dude caught that ball. If there would have been, 10 or 12 more seconds on that clock, we'd be having a completely different conversation. You know what I mean? When he caught the ball, man, they panned to Deion's face. My man looked sick. Because I'm telling you, if there was 10 to 12 seconds left on the clock, man, they probably would have scored and won the game. Yeah, it's crazy. But I don't want to discount them just because Shedeur Sanders has an arm. Travis Hunter is amazing, right? On both sides, right? He's such a good receiver because he plays DB. He knows what DBs are gonna do. He knows DB's tendencies, which makes him a great receiver. I don't think that they're gonna blow Nebraska out. I do think it's gonna be a close game because Nebraska does have a good defense. I don't know if Travis Hunter. They're not playing an FCS team, so I don't know if he's going to be able to play 140 snaps against Nebraska. I just don't see that happening. Me personally.
Yeah. And AB, you took a lot of my stuff. And I agree. I think Colorado can beat Nebraska. Two things. Nebraska is at home. Last year they played at Colorado. This year they're at Nebraska. So I think that's an advantage for Nebraska. And, Raiola, he's going to be the difference, right? We know Shedeur Sanders is going to show up, but is Raiola going to show up? And right now I will put my money on Shedeur showing up and making the plays that need to be made when it comes to crunch time. I don't think that Colorado's defense is good at all. There's nothing you can tell me that would make me think that they're good. And I know I was looking at a clip where Warren Sapp was saying that they kind of started to warm up after a couple quarters, and I didn't see it. because, like you said,
No.
they should have lost to North Dakota State. And it just all depends. Matt Rule is a hell of a coach. I think we all know that. What he
Yeah.
has schemed up and how Raiola faces in his first big game in college.
Offensively, Colorado, I mean, you got some ballers on offense, right? For your starters, you got Dewar, you got Travis Hunter can catch some stuff. They got some speed, man. They can make some noise. But I just don't think you have the depth yet to compete. You know, and here's my thing too. Deion, you want to be considered like a for real coach, this is the game you gotta win. You know? You gotta go and win this game. This is gonna be a good close game, and I got Nebraska taking it. But because just defensively, man. When I watched them last week, I was just like, what's going on? They like D line it took them a while to wake up. I'm like, come on, man, this is game time, bro. You should be ready to go.
Yeah.
You know, it's not they don't have the talent, I don't think.
The one thing that concerns me about Colorado offensively is the running game. They have no running game.
No, because they weren't doing nothing against North Dakota State. So, you know, their schedule doesn't get easier, right? They got Nebraska today. Then they're at Colorado, who gave them hell last year, right?
Colorado
State, who gave them hell last year, who they had to beat in double overtime. Brings back a lot of production, a better receiving unit, even though that didn't show because, I mean, they played Texas. But Colorado's secondary outside of Travis Hunter is not very good. And even at some point in games, Travis Hunter is susceptible to giving up a deep shot, right? We've seen that when they played Stanford last year. So, you know, then they have Baylor at home. They're at UCF, who's going to be tough, right? Then they get Kansas State at home, who's always tough. Then they're at Arizona. They don't have no easy slate of games.
No.
So if they take an L right here, this could be, I mean, a potential just horror show for the rest of the season. Because they finished the season versus Utah, at Kansas, and then Oklahoma State.
Not easy.
Not easy.
Man. And I would tell you my bold prediction at the end of the year, Deion will be gone. He will leave because Shedeur Sanders is leaving, Travis Hunter is leaving, his other son Shiloh is leaving. He's not going to stay at Colorado. They're going to end up having to find somebody else. That's still my bold prediction. I expect it to happen. He's not going to stay there after they leave.
I didn't want to throw that out there, but that was a bold prediction. But I feel the same way because it's something about
people gonna be calling him a hypocrite because he came out and said that just because they move on don't mean he's moving on. So if he leaves, they're gonna be on his neck.
He's gonna leave.
Yeah, he's gonna do the same thing he did at Jackson State when people was like, man, he's gone. He took the big job, and now his talent, his kids are gonna leave. I don't know if he stays either, man. But because I just don't see I've never seen a coaching staff bring so much distraction or allow so much distraction for their team. It's like he's worried more about the brand than he is about X's and O's. And that's my biggest knock on it, man. Like you've been a distraction. There's been distraction after distraction. And it's not about winning. It's about making noise. It's about getting out there, putting the players and out. It's great. It's great that he got some of the players got commercials, NIL deals, all that stuff.
NIL deals, all that stuff.
But it's too much, man. I remember before the Oregon game last year, it was just a lot of shit talking, right?
Yeah,
and man. Oregon came in there and just boom.
Yeah.
To me, that's something. That's why I think I'm with you.
Yeah, and the only reason I say that too, what's next? What is his backup plan for when Shedeur leaves? What is his backup plan for when Travis Hunter leaves? He doesn't have it. He doesn't have one. You know, Texas, when Quinn Ewers leaves next year, they have not Jalen Miro. They have Arch Manning. Jalen Miro leaves. They got Todd Simpson. You know, Georgia, when Carson Bexley, they got Jaden Rashada sitting in the wings. Like, what is his
Yeah.
backup plan? I don't see one. What if
So
Shadir
I
Sanders
think
gets
he's.
hurt this year?
Oh yeah, they're done.
Yeah.
Get Travis Hunter
Yeah, I
out there.
agree, man. They need to go ahead and put the cameras down. Put the. They need to put the cameras down and just play football, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think if it was about football, we would, all the distractions wouldn't be there, and we would be talking about them actually being competitive to this is year 2, right? So year 2, you start seeing that transition into, okay, year 1, I expect year 2, year 3, you expect them to
Right.
be making noise in the postseason. So year 2, you should start seeing that transition. But I think they're the same team they were last year, just different pieces, same type of mentality though.
Yeah, man. I'm looking at this schedule again, and I'm just like, boy, it's
It'll
gonna
be
be
tough
rough.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough. I think the Vegas over under was 5.5. For them wins for the season
I can
was
see it.
5.5. Yeah. So they said I
Maybe
think
they
this.
beat Nebraska. Maybe they beat Baylor. Maybe they beat Cincinnati. Everything, every other game don't look
Yeah.
good, man.
I think they said Dion's kind of lowered his expectations too. They think of course he was saying that they was going to the playoffs, which we all know is not going to happen. But he was
No.
saying that a bowl, just making a bowl, would probably would be a good win. Showing
Yeah.
progression in his second year. Maybe they can get to a bowl game.
Not so fast, my friend.
Well, I got a question. I have a question for y'all too. So we've seen the first week. I know it's kind of fake in a way because a lot of teams didn't really play anybody. But what do you think is do you think Georgia and Ohio State? Do you think they're the teams that everybody's making them out to be? Do you think they're the ones? Because most people had them one of the two winning the championship this year. Do you think they could be beatable? Like, what are you guys thinking so far?
I think both teams are very beatable. The reason, so if you go back and look at the Georgia Clemson game, right, that game was close all the way up until the fourth quarter where Georgia ran away with it, right? And that's because Clemson's defense. Clemson inability to move the ball, convert third downs is the reason that they lost the game. It wasn't because Georgia just completely outmatched them. They could not move the ball. The play calling was terrible. The quarterback, Cade Klubnik, unfortunately, I know he a Texas boy, but man, he did not play good. And if they had just a halfway decent offense, it would have been a close game in the fourth quarter. But they could not do nothing. Nothing. And maybe that's credit
Right.
to Georgia's defense. I don't know. But they could not. It was bad. But I think Georgia is very beatable. Because nothing in that game jumped off the screen to me. I was like, oh shit, these motherfuckers about to run through the damn conference. I didn't get that feeling. The same thing with Ohio State. I didn't get that feeling. They had some struggles, right? They have Will Howard as a starting quarterback, who I'm, all too familiar with. I know what he can do, and that's throw the ball to the other team, right? Just because you change teams, that don't change. He is gonna throw, 6 to 7 interceptions this year, right? Put them in some bad situations. Their D line did not look with them bringing all those guys back. I thought they were about to jump off the screen. Didn't happen. So I think both teams are beatable.
Yeah, man. I agree, man. And then so we're gonna see this week. Georgia has Tennessee Tech, get easy W. But then they start getting to their SEC schedule, right? So they got Kentucky, and then they got Alabama, followed by Auburn. And we're gonna see assume what they're made of, man. Because I don't think so. I think they're gonna take a L. They're gonna take a L.
Ron got excited when you said Bama, man.
Yeah. So I agree with both of y'all. I think Georgia definitely didn't look good, but I will pause. Trevor Etienne didn't play, right, because of the DUI. So he was really the only playmaker that didn't play. I wasn't excited like their playmakers. I just didn't see. I didn't see, but again, I wasn't as impressed as a lot of people were with Georgia. I do think they play. Of course, they played a tough opponent with Clemson, but then we'll see in the weeks to come really how good is Clemson. We know their defense is good, but they do not have an offense at all. No receivers. And I like their running back, Phil Mata. I think he's great, but he didn't do anything against Georgia.
No.
But how, is Clay Klubnik holding them back? Like, I just got to see a little bit more. But I do think Georgia, people get mad when you say this, but Georgia has the toughest schedule they've had in a long time. And I just think they're going to get kind of exposed on some of the games. I'm saying that, not saying that Bama going to do it. I'm not saying Bama going to do it, but you still got Texas. They still got Ole Miss. They got a lot of teams. Tennessee, who's looking good. They got a lot of teams they got to play this year that could give them some problems.
I don't know how to pronounce Tennessee's quarterback's name, but all the vowels in his name. Hey, the dude
just Nico, man. Just Nico.
Yeah, Nico, yeah.
Man, hey, that's gonna be a really good game to watch.
It is.
Georgia's gonna face a top tier QB who's gonna light them up and see how they do. But I want to go back to the Clemson thing, man. We, as college football, we're not just, I will consider ourselves not just like weekend fans, right? We actually watch it. We've been seeing the decline of Clemson for a couple of years now. We've been talking about it. Like, get in the portal, man. Stop. You're gonna end up, your program's gonna slip. Here, you remember Clemsoning, the hashtag Clemsoning, because they used to lose the games. They were trash. They're heading, their trajectory is getting back down, man.
Yeah.
And that was holding them back.
Yeah, so I have said that. I really think, and I said this when we first started this year, Clemson has to either win the ACC, they have to make the playoffs. They have to win the ACC or make the playoffs, one of the two. If he doesn't, if they're 8-4, 7-5, I just don't see him withstanding. Yes, he's won 2 national championships, but the program is continuing to trend downward. The noise is going to get louder and louder with every loss that he has because they're not competitive with the Miamis who's spending money in NIL, the Florida States. They're not going to be competitive with them going forward, right? And either Dabo's got to adapt or he's going to be, I think he's going to get out of there.
I heard somebody say, man, when the game is changing, man, you either got to adapt or die. And it's looking like he's going to be dead because he's not willing to, it just, I really want to have a conversation with him and ask him, what's the big problem, right? If you're trying to win, you're setting yourself back if you're not doing what everybody else is doing, right? Because now they have an advantage over you.
Right.
And that's the thing. If it's about we want to teach commitment and homegrown our players, look, man, NIL was developed. It's a good thing. These players some of them were getting hurt. There were 4-star athletes getting hurt in college, don't make it to the next level, and they, out of whatever perspective. So this is good for the players. So I don't blame the players. Be like, I don't like the situation I'm in. I want to go somewhere else. And that's good, man. Like the transfer portal, all this stuff has helped college football, man. We've had a swing in time. We go one year, and swings the talent to the next one, right? This makes it exciting. Change your mentality, man. Just bring on. If he was to open up the portal for offense, people want to go to Clemson and play.
Yeah.
It's not like you are you're not North Dakota State who's like, we got to throw money at everybody to try to come get some players. You're
Right.
Clemson.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And one thing I was listening to on the radio, and the guy brought up a good point. When he talked about Alabama, in 2007 to 2013, Saban was ground and pound, good defense. And in 2014, when they played Ohio State, they got the doors blown off of them in that playoff game. Saban kind of realized, like, hey, I got to change. And that's when he went out and got Lane Kiffin. And then that's when the offenses got better and all that. And like they said, he adapted. Dabo has got to adapt, man. He's going to be out of there. He's going to be out of there. And the high school, like, somebody else said too, he wants to go just straight high school recruiting classes, but he got to realize nobody's really doing that anymore. Everybody's using the transfer portal to make their rosters better. So you're looking at guys that got to take 2 to 3 years to develop, going against guys that's already been playing 2 or 3 years. You're going to always be behind. Always.
And to me, it's too late now. You don't let, and I love my Canes, man, but you don't let Miami beat you to the punch. Miami now has a loaded roster, right? Mm-hmm. Florida State last year beat you to the punch. Florida State had a loaded roster. Everybody else in the ACC has caught up to you, for the most part, right? The big names.
Yeah.
You are now, I think this year you're a middle of the pack ACC team. And that wasn't the case. I mean, Clemson has held it down for a decade almost.
I mean, some people still picking them to go to the ACC championship game against Miami. I mean, we'll see. You know what I mean?
And it's not a bad pick, because looking at Clemson's schedule, man, they really have a chance to run the table. They got App State today, but next week they got NC State. Follow that, they got Stanford. Then they're at Florida State, which is going to be a tough game, depending on how Florida State looks over the next few weeks, right? Then they got Wake Forest, should be a win. Virginia should be a win. Louisville, tough game. Virginia Tech is not who we thought they were going to be, right? So I think that's a win. They're at Pitt. Then they have the Citadel in South Carolina. So they have a chance to make it to, I think they have one of the easiest schedules in ACC to make it to the ACC title game.
Yeah.
That Virginia Tech, man, I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
There was a lot of talk that they were going to make that jump.
They were,
because they brought back 93% of their production. I think I was reading an article, which is, I mean, that's crazy. And to lose the way that they lost, man.
Especially to Vanderbilt,
the SEC's academic school of the year every year.
The Harvard of the South.
Yeah.
That's a good stuff.
Yeah. What about Billy Napier? Do y'all think he's on the hot seat? Y'all think he's gonna make it through the season?
Hey, Billy Napier gonna be gone before November, my boy. Ain't looking good. Looking good.
A year.
Yeah, I see DJ Lagway supposed to start today, and that may be the turn that they need. Graham Mertz was never it. He played, maybe DJ Lagway.
He played last week. He threw a pick.
But but he's actually starting this time. You know what I mean?
I tell you what, he threw a pick, but he moved the ball down on Miami's number one beat.
He's a playmaker. Don't get me wrong. He's a playmaker.
He made the team look better.
Yeah.
Right? He looked impressive for a true freshman coming in, right?
Yeah. And
he has voice to him. But that's the thing, man. You file Billy Napier, I mean, you're gonna lose these recruits. So it's
Yep, they said that before. And that's the biggest thing for me too is you fire Billy Napier, who are you bringing in? Right. I've been seeing they talking about Lane Kiffin, but Lane Kiffin done built Ole Miss up. Why would he come to Florida? Like who are you bringing in if you fire Billy Napier?
Yeah, I seen
Would be
something that
the
said
biggest
Dan
question for
Lanning,
me. Nah, I
but I
don't
don't
see. He
think
got
Dan Lanning
Oregon.
not leaving Oregon. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Phil Knight said he got a blank check for NIL because he wanted to
Yeah,
see
that's
Oregon win a championship before he passed away. Like, come on,
Dan Lanning,
man.
hey, they
the
better
fact that
carry up because he up there in age.
Yeah, he up there.
that's what I'm saying, man. Dan Lanning is in the best place possible for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's blank check NIL, some of
Yeah,
the better facilities out there.
I wouldn't leave that for
Yeah.
Florida. And
Yeah.
even I know. So going back to DJ starting this game, it's against Sanford, right? They should have a
Right.
W. But as we know, Florida has the toughest schedule in the
Yep.
country.
Yep.
And I read statistically they've had this schedule that they have this year is the toughest in the last 15 years. So, yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah.
After Sanford,
But
boy, it's all downhill. They got Texas A&M and Mississippi State, who I think is going to have improvement this year. Because they brought in Blake Shapen from Baylor, and they got what's the head coach? He was the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma.
Coordinator for Oklahoma. Yeah. Jeff Lebby. Jeff
Lebby. Yep. And then they have UCF, who's tough, right? They got they're at Tennessee, they got Kentucky, they got Georgia, they're at Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, and then at Florida State. That is a fucking gauntlet, man. It's like, could you imagine being a player looking at this schedule like, fuck my life, man?
Tired, boss. Like, I'm tired. Yeah.
Man, but it's crazy. Before the season, you would say that they would lose those maybe last 5 games. But now you look at that Florida State game is winnable. You know what I mean? That Florida State game is winnable now.
But Ole Miss gonna light them up.
Yeah.
Jackson Dart.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how Ole Miss does. I know they blew out their team last week like 76-0, but how are they going to look against some of the the better teams? I think they still got one more cream puff before they start getting into the playing the good teams. But I do think Ole Miss is going to make the playoffs this year too.
You think Ole Miss is going to make the playoffs?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
That was something that
I agree.
How many teams is the SEC going to get in? Right. So we know the champions are right.
I think we're going to get 4 in. 4 to 5.
Yep.
So Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, possibly Bama.
Possibly Bama. Very humble.
Humble response.
Yeah, and then I don't know who else would you say? Tennessee has a shot, I would think, but
because
it depends on Yeah, that would be the only other team I can see.
Not Ole Miss, Missouri, who has a very favorable schedule.
Yeah, that's right. Missouri is in the top 10 right now.
Yeah, and their schedule is. Yeah, listen. I think the SEC got a chance to put in 5 teams. It's possible because if the ACC is having a down year, right? The only person that gets in is the ACC champion, right? So, say if Miami wins out, I think they get in, right? If I think the Big 12 end up getting 2 teams in, and I think that's either going to be, I think it's going to be Utah, and if Oklahoma State can run the table, Oklahoma State to get in there.
Okay, I forgot about Oklahoma State. Okay, yeah. Okay.
So that's 5. That's 7 right there. 8, right? And then the from the Big 10, I think you get 3 teams. So
3? I was thinking 4.
But that's a toss-up, and I'm only saying that because you got. I think Penn State is going to get in, right? Again, they have a favorable schedule this year. Oregon,
Yeah.
they're gonna have to show me just because last week they didn't play so good. They struggled a little bit. Yeah, they're gonna have to show me. But they still play Michigan and Ohio State, so we'll see. But I think they do get 3 teams in. And I say 3
Yeah.
because you still got the group of 5.
Yeah, the one champ. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was thinking Oregon, USC, and Penn State as of right now. I'm sorry, Oregon, Penn State, USC, and Ohio State.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think USC gonna get in there, man. I think they're gonna be a lot better this year, man. I really do.
So that's 4 for.
I'm gonna have to. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the 4 teams you just named are the 4 teams that I thought I was like, okay, they're the Big 10 champion, right? But then it's gonna be like Oregon Ducks is gonna have and USC are gonna have good record, and then Penn State, who's consistently right there, just knocking can't get in. You know,
unless they beat up on each other, because Oregon plays USC.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
trying to pull up this schedule. Yeah. Oregon plays Ohio State. Oh, they don't play USC. Yeah, they play Ohio State and Michigan.
Yeah.
Okay. Does USC play Ohio State? I thought they did, but maybe they don't.
I think they play Michigan.
It's Oregon. Yeah, I think it's Oregon because Ohio State is going to Oregon, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No, Ohio State don't play USC.
Okay.
But they're at Oregon and they're at Penn State. Damn. So does Michigan play USC? USC must have got a cakewalk then.
Nah. Oh, USC?
Yeah.
They have a cakewalk.
They play Michigan. Well, they don't play Oregon or Ohio State.
But they play Penn State, right? So Penn State and Michigan?
Yeah.
Yeah, they play. Yeah, they play Penn State. They get Penn State at home.
Okay.
So they're at Michigan in week 4. And then
Penn State
at home in like week 7. Oh, that's that weekend, October 12th that we were talking about with the weddings.
Yeah.
Weddings on October 12th that weekend. Yeah, ain't no way. That's going to be a crazy weekend for football.
Ain't going to no weddings October 12th, man.
And then they finished the season with Notre Dame at home. Notre Dame looked good, too, by the way.
They did. They did.
I forgot to mention that at the beginning when we were talking about the games that impressed.
Yeah.
Notre Dame looked good on offense and it looked good on defense.
And we also didn't mention them in the 12-team playoff because they're going to be in as a at-large.
At-large.
Because
Yeah.
Yep.
They don't fall into a conference.
Yep.
So somebody going to get shorted because Notre Dame's schedule is pretty favorable.
All they got is really USC at the last game of the season. I think everybody else. I think they play Florida State too. That's it. So Florida State and USC.
Yeah, they play Florida State, Georgia Tech, Louisville, who beat them last year.
Yeah. But if I remember correctly, they played at Louisville last year.
Louisville. Yeah, they played at Louisville last year. Yeah, they get Louisville at home. They get Georgia Tech at home. They get Florida State at home, and they're at USC.
That's what I'm saying. They got a favorable schedule, man.
Yeah, and the biggest thing, like they said, they had to win that game against Texas A&M because the rest of their schedule is so easy, pretty technically easy, right? So they had to win that game because Texas A&M is a ranked team. They went, on the road and beat them, and that's going to help them, man, continue. And I think Marcus Freeman got them boys ready, man. I think. Yeah.
Hey, man, they was playing lights out on defense, man. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
It's not often that a team outside of the SEC comes in and out physically dominates the other team, man. They was physical with them. It was a good game.
Yeah, it was.
I was impressed.
I think a lot of Notre Dame fans were happy.
About, we're going to win it all this year. You know.
Yeah. Now, yeah, pump your brakes.
Pump your
brakes.
on,
Yeah, pump your brakes.
Too soon in the season to be talking like that.
Yeah.
Too soon in the season.
It's going to be a good year. We got a lot of
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. The one thing I like is all the added teams and the different conferences is making it more competitive, almost like NFL like.
Yep.
Right? Like I said, the SEC is tougher this year. The Big Ten is going to be tougher this year. The ACC, like all of the conference, the Big 12, all 4 of them are tougher than they've been in a long time. And I enjoy that. I think it's going to be good.
Normally you have, back in the day, man, you used to have multiple undefeated teams, man. I just don't see like the undefeated person will win, the championship. I just don't see that being the case anymore.
Yeah, no. I think now it's going to come down to who has the best depth. Because they play. You could end up playing, I think, 16 to 17 games.
17 games. Yep.
Yeah, so it's going to be all about who has the best depth now and who stays injury free.
Hey, I don't want to hear no complaints because everybody's like, "Man, we got shorter. We didn't get in there. If we would have got in there, we would have won." No, everybody who would have gotten in there and would have won is going to get in this year.
Oh, trust me, they gonna still argue. We was the 13th best team. We was not the 13th best team.
Hey, there's no excuses this year. I don't want to hear it. Because if we should have been in there, you would have gotten in there.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah.
That UCF team they got shorted that one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Made them national. They got rings for themselves and shirts.
Because then they beat Auburn, I think, in the bowl game. I think I was
They did. Yeah, but it's kind of hard when you like if it's not the real big games, like the bowl games, man. Like, not especially now. You got people opting out of them and all that. Like, it's not.
But I think them making it 12 teams, man, this makes it better for the game because you're not going to have them opt outs of a team make the playoffs.
Right.
It's more competitive football that we get to watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they said that a lot of the NIL are making them players play in the bowl games now too. They're not going to be able to opt out.
That's good. They want that money. Get on that field, my boy.
Yeah.
I agree with that because it was getting pretty ridiculous, man. Like
it was. It was. And I always think about that Georgia-Florida State game. And the thing that always upset me about it is Florida State, they did all that crime. We should have been in the playoffs, blah, blah, blah. And then they went out there. That was the time to go and make a statement.
Yeah.
But then everybody opted out. They didn't want to play. So, yeah.
Florida State. I saw that meme, man. Florida State said they're going to sue to get 112.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Oh, man, that's funny. All right, fellas, we coming up on an hour, man. Let's go ahead and talk about who do we think who's gonna win today. So first game, Texas and Michigan. Who you got?
I got Texas about plus 14, man. More than 14 points, bro. They're gonna 2 touchdowns is gonna be minimum. I like they got them at negative 6.5 right now, under 6.5, I think, on ESPN.
Yeah,
but and I think they're gonna beat Michigan by at least 2 touchdowns.
Okay. I think Texas wins, but I think they win by 10 or less.
I am with Ron. I got Texas by 10.
Yeah.
All right.
Next game, Arkansas at Oklahoma State.
Let's see.
Yeah, I got Oklahoma State in this one. I think Arkansas is a lot better. They got that quarterback from Boise, transfer quarterback from Boise State.
Taylor Green.
Taylor Green. Yeah, but I still think that Oklahoma State, man, Mike Gundy, he's a hell of a coach. Then you got
Ollie Gordon.
Thank you. Good Lord. You got Ollie Gordon, right? I think they're gonna beat Arkansas today. And if I'm not mistaken, they're playing in Arkansas, right?
No,
No.
that Oklahoma State. They're in Stillwater.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, Stillwater.
Tough
Yeah, I
place to
think.
play. I'm
Yeah.
familiar.
I got Oklahoma State.
Yeah, Oklahoma State. The spread is -10 for Oklahoma State, and yeah, I think Oklahoma State. I think they're gonna be too much for Arkansas offense.
I am also going Oklahoma State. They returned all their starters on defense, and I want to say they returned all but 2 starters on offense. So this group has been playing together. I don't think that slows down. And I don't know if I want to take the 10 that they're laying. I'm not going to lay the 10, but I will take Oklahoma State to win the game because they like to play games close. So
Yeah.
I'm
like this.
Yeah. Let's see another big game on the schedule. Iowa State and Iowa.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Iowa. Iowa, they offense, they scored a lot of points last game, right? And I think Iowa's that sneaky team in the Big Ten, man, that could make some noise and they could make a playoff run.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm gonna go Iowa on that one.
I'm gonna go with the underdog, man, because even they're not confident in the spread. They got Iowa -2.5, right? So hey, you know what? We'll go with Iowa State. We'll go with the underdog on this. How it pans out for me. You know what I'm saying?
All right. So fun fact, man. Last week, Iowa, one of the receivers had 3 touchdowns, right? Last year, the whole season,
I
the
heard this.
receiving unit as a core only had 3 touchdowns. So they might be on to something. They got that same defense, a much improved offense. I'm taking Iowa, and I'm taking the points, man. Iowa -2.5. Even though Iowa State did return all their production on defense, I'm still taking Iowa.
Yeah.
Florida A&M at Miami.
Oh, come on, man. Hey, what's the spread? What's the spread?
Miami -45.
I wouldn't take that.
I wouldn't touch that line, not at all.
I wouldn't touch that line either. But I think Miami gonna blow them out, though.
I think
Miami's
so.
gonna play a tough game and come out on top.
Yeah. I'm thinking like a 38-point victory.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't want to discount Florida A&M. I know, HBCU, all that, but Florida A&M, they are on a 13-game win streak, if I'm not mistaken. So
okay,
they've been winning,
matching colors, and they can match speed. You know, but I don't know about talent. They're a good team, man. I do think 45 is entirely way too much. I think it's less than 45.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Miami. I think a 38-point victory sounds about right. South Florida at Alabama.
Hey, this was a close one last year.
It was. Hey, nail biter last year.
Come on, man.
When you say it out loud, you're like, no way. It was a close one last year.
It was a close game last year.
Because Jalen Milroe didn't play.
They got Alabama -31. I'm laying the points. I'm taking Alabama -52.
Yeah. I think Alabama's gonna blow them out. I think because of the way they played last year against them, I think that they're gonna be a little bit more salty today and prove that it was kind of a fluke game last year.
A little extra motivation.
Yeah.
And they cover.
They cover.
I think they cover. Okay, what's another game on here that might be good?
Tennessee and North Carolina State.
Tennessee and North Carolina State, absolutely. Yeah. So they got Tennessee -9, and this game is at NC State.
Mm-hmm. I would take the Tennessee. I think they're gonna. Tennessee has a great offense. You know, Ed alluded to it earlier. Nico, I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna do some damage, man. That offense is legit, and I just don't think North Carolina State got the horses to keep up with Tennessee. I think it's gonna be a blowout.
Blowout.
Yeah, this will be a blowout. I think the -9 for Tennessee. I think Tennessee beats them by, like I said, 17 at least. You know what I'm saying? That's a minimum.
I wasn't thinking blowout. I'm taking Tennessee in the points though for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking that. Remember, NC State struggled against Western Carolina last week too.
They did. Yeah, I mean that's true. That is true.
The Baylor and Utah State game. To me, that one's interesting.
Utah State or Utah?
Utah. I'm sorry, Utah. Baylor or Utah.
Okay.
Baylor, Utah. What time? I think Utah gonna blow them out, man. They got Utah -14.5. I got Utah minus. Yeah, I got Utah minus 3 touchdowns at least. Cam Rising had a hell of a game last game.
Yeah.
My dog had
he threw for 250, 5 touchdowns. They got a good running back. Yeah. Baylor. Dave Aranda. I don't know. Maybe Dave Aranda turned them around. Who knows? But I'm not seeing it. I'm taking Utah all the way and to win the Big 12. Well, between them and Oklahoma State. But I'm taking Utah.
Dave Aranda gonna be on the hot seat. I don't know if he's gonna turn Baylor all the way around. But I got Utah big time.
Utes.
Yeah.
Utah Utes. Let's see. I think that's really the only games. I think Utah State gonna get blown out by USC. They got USC minus 28.5 though. That's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
That's a lot. Yeah. Oh, missed the game. Boise State at Oregon.
Oh yeah, that's tonight. 9 o'clock, I think.
9 o'clock your time. Yep.
Yeah.
Man, so Boise State got Peacock. Man, what's up with this?
Yeah, Boise State got that little running back, Austin Shinty. I think he had like 260. Genty, he had 260 something yards last week.
Yep.
I think
6 touchdowns on 20 carries.
Yeah. He's gonna give Oregon some problems. Oregon they still moved their offense, moved the ball last week. The biggest thing with Oregon, though, they couldn't put it in the end zone.
Yeah.
I think because they got dropped in the poll. Yeah. I think because they got dropped in the polls, I think Oregon's gonna come out with a vengeance this week. I think they're gonna destroy Boise State.
Yeah, they were like 1 for 7 in the red zone.
Yeah,
crazy.
No, I'm looking at the. So they got.
What do you think they're gonna cover? Because they got Oregon minus 19.
I think they cover.
You think they cover?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, it's in Oregon, so it's in Eugene.
Okay, they'll cover.
They dropped in the poll. And bad showing last week. Boise State is just not going to have an answer for that.
Yeah. I still think old boy going to have a good game,
another thing. Idaho was able to run the ball on Oregon last week. So
I just say that, I think old boy going to have a good game still, though.
Yeah, because he's a hell of a running back.
Yeah.
Yeah, 19 is a lot.
3 touchdowns.
It really depends on how they first couple offensive drives go. Yeah. Yeah, no other. Houston at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Oklahoma should blow them out.
Yeah.
Houston looked terrible last week.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot old boy Dana Holgorsen not there no more, so.
No, he got fired.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so we're about 30 minutes out from kickoff, man. We appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
20 minutes now, 20 minutes from kickoff. We appreciate y'all tuning in with us, doing some pregame stuff. Take care.
Yo, take it easy.
All right.